This is not my preferred thing to do, speaking. I'm usually trying to duck away from the cameras, but I'm excited to be here because I have the privilege of working with the Environment and Education team at Indigiscapes, and also with working with all of these brilliant researchers in the front row, and of course, Kath with the Koala Conservation Program. So I'm going to be brief. Like I said, not my favourite thing to do, but what I wanted to do was to just give you an overview of what we're aiming for, and then how we think we will get there, and who will do the work. So what we're aiming to do is to build resilience in the natural environment. And you've heard a lot about that tonight, different ways we can understand population ecology, we can understand genetic diversity, we can understand what some of the barriers are. And we think that's really important. We want to have robust science, robust research, because we think it's important to make sure that the natural environment, our communities and our economy are all resilient and prepared for change. We also want to make sure we've got connected and diverse communities. And that's really important and a really good reason for us to take that strategic approach and engage with the community and the hearts and minds of all of the great people within our community and our researchers to get us where we want to go. We also think it's really important to build and strengthen the social capital, and that's something that's getting more and more attention. And we believe that's a really important part in the success of this program and all that we do for conservation going forward. So why is it important? We've heard a few of the speakers tonight talk about change. Some of this change is happening now, some is happening rapidly. When I first wrote this, I wasn't planning on the enormous storms we've just had, but I think we all know, whether it's climate change, habitat loss, fragmentation, natural disasters, change is upon us, and we want to make sure that we're prepared to respond. So how are we going to get there? I love the term smart science. I think all science is smart. I'm a scientist. But that science is really important. What it's given us in just a few short years is a really robust base. We understand for koalas, what are the population dynamics? How are koalas moving? How are they related? And we've embraced technology. And there's some really cool technology. You know, we're looking at using drones, we're looking at smart signs, we have detection dogs, and working together across universities, across research centres to make sure that we have a really good understanding and we're making really smart decisions about what we do going forward. Working together is really important. And you've heard Kath and you've heard the other speakers talking about how important it is that the community is involved and they're engaged. And believe it, the information that you see, watch or ALA is really valuable. We can't be everywhere, our researchers can't be everywhere, even the talented detection dogs cannot be everywhere, but you can. You're out in the community, you know the koalas that pass through your backyard, and you know and you can see what's happening over time. We really need to hear about that, and we need you to take photos, ask questions, and come and talk to us about it. That's important because what we want to do is move towards and embrace that landscape scale planning. And that means across backyards, across creeks, but across boundaries as well. We'd love to show up Brisbane City Council, wouldn't we? Logan, Ipswich. The work we do here is really so far ahead some of those other government authorities. And we are doing a lot with a small, engaged and passionate community. So we really want to move beyond just our borders and embrace that change further out. Landscape scale conservation, it's a big term. Like I said, what it means is really going beyond just thinking in one area, just thinking in Venman, just thinking in Scribbly-Gum, and really branching out and connecting that habitat. That's really important because what we want is resilient systems. What we want to have is ecological function and we want it to be improving over time. As we've heard about, we want to understand the pathways. Where are koalas moving? Where is wildlife moving? How can we reduce or start to take out some of the risk of some of the pathways that our wildlife are taking? I did not do that, but we'll go with that anyway. That's important, and I think this is an important point to make about thinking big. So we need to be thinking big in terms of the scale, but also in terms of time. We've got to be thinking in tree time. I like the comment about the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. That's very true. But I think most of the people in the room know that we do a lot of work every day, planting trees, enhancing habitat. That's really important for us to do that, but we need to do more. We've also got to be, in parallel, managing those threatening processes, looking at our roads, looking at what we do, looking at what we're doing in our backyard, all the way through to how we talk about where we are, how we talk about the importance of all of the conservation measures that we're doing, and how we can continue to strive to do more. And let's pressure the neighbouring councils, let's pressure the state government to do more and help us do more. I'm not sure why this is moving on, but go with me. So who will do the work? Kath talked a little about this. The government needs to lead, so whether it's federal, state, or ourselves locally. Science has to inform. We've talked a lot about the research. It's really important that it's robust and we're making decisions based on science. We're supporting the community. We do that already through environmental partnerships, our community bush care program, and we're also supporting educators, and that's something new in the last 12 months where we're really aiming to have all of the material, the lesson plans, everything that educators in Redlands Coast need to help our children and to help our community learn more about the incredible wildlife and the ecosystems that we have here. I just can't get enough of koala photos, by the way. We get some very cute ones. And we want to go beyond the local scale. There's a picture there, which I think most of you hopefully are familiar with, and that's the Sustainable Development Goals. And they are goals that are set throughout the world about making stronger, more resilient communities, forests, ecosystems, and they are based on some basic human needs, but also what's required to have healthy ecosystems. So we want to go beyond the local scale. We want to cross boundaries, cross creeks, and really get some change happening. We want to develop and deliver those greening projects that we see in other places and we see even here, right in Redlands. We want to get investment happening in the natural environment. We want to engage with researchers. We want to attract the attention because that's the only way we can get conservation and change happening at such a large scale. And we also want to make sure that it's sustainable. So nature-based tourism and recreation, ecotourism, whatever you want to call it, if it's a way to get people visiting the region, get our communities involved and make local businesses vibrant and proud of where we are, then it's really important that we support that. We've worked really hard and Kath led with a fantastic overview of all of the work that's happened in just a few short years. There is a lot of good information now. We know a lot about this population. It is an urban population, but it's a really important genetic bank. And if you get devastating wildfires in those wild populations, these populations in places like Redlands are critical and vital to the survival of a species like koalas. Increasing the carrying capacity. Nutritional ecology is my new favourite plant nerd topic at the moment, and I've had some great conversations with Kath and Cara about this. Of course, it makes sense, doesn't it? We like fruit and veggies that are fresh, full of nutrients and taste good. Well, so do koalas, and so do other wildlife. So it makes sense that we understand it, and then we target collection from those species, and then that's what we're putting back. Local provenance. We want to eat locally. Of course, our wildlife does too. We already do a lot of this work, which there's people here tonight will know. We already collect, propagate, and we grow our own endemic stock at the nursery out at Indigiscapes. That's all done in collaboration with our bush care team, our bush care volunteers, and our researchers from ANU. To me, that is such a brilliant example of how the community can really drive some positive change. And it's about to go to another level with embracing that fantastic plant nerd topic of mine, nutritional ecology. Harnessing that expertise that exists in the room, and I could hear a few comments as we were listening tonight to the other speakers about how interesting it is, how great it is to see koalas moving. Harnessing that expertise and then working in partnership is the only way to go. We cannot be everywhere. Like I said, even those talented detection dogs can't be, but we can work together to make sure that we're securing the future, not just for koalas, but for all of the wildlife and the habitat and the ecosystems across Redlands Coast. I wanted to finish with, again, just bringing home the point of what we want. We do want to create those resilient landscapes and ecosystems, but also stronger communities. One of my favourite things about going out to some of our sites, or when we have an eco market, or I go to a bush care planting, is that this is a passionate community and a strong community. And like I said, batting well above its weight against some of the really big, well-funded councils, even just in southeast Queensland. So I know that we're capable of a lot, but I think we can be capable of a whole lot more, particularly by harnessing that funding and getting that attention that some of this work deserves. Why can't we have citywide approaches, expand our signage so that we're targeting those areas where we know koalas are crossing? Getting more citizen scientists on board. Hopefully everyone's signed up now to Koala Watch. We'd love everyone across Redlands Coast to be signed up, and then we can keep an eye on what's going on. What about a conservation-based economy? I think I'd like that just as much as nutritional ecology. Why can't we have nature-based tourism here? Why can't our economy be having a really strong, robust base of conservation? I wanted to finish with just saying thank you to our researchers in the room, to the community that's here, to the community that turns up every week at the nursery to help us propagate seed, to the community that shows up with our bush care groups and looks after areas across Redlands Coast. There's over 35 groups that give up their time every month and go out and plant, enhance and protect our native forests, our wildlife. We've got people signed up to the Environmental Partnerships Program, doing their bit at home to enhance and protect habitat. Without that collaboration and partnership between council, our team, our brilliant researchers, but just as importantly, our community, we won't get to landscape scale conservation, but working together, I'm absolutely certain that we can. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm looking forward to seeing what questions you've got. Thank you.